screen. Let's go. So good morning and hello and welcome. And as you can see, I'm not in my garden this morning. I'm kind of wishing I hadn't adjusted the camera angle. So first of all, a little weather check-in. You can see I've got a cardigan on this morning, and outside there is just this tiny hint of drizzle, and it's probably the really good kind of rain. You don't want a really, really heavy, thunderous amount of rain pouring after a prolonged period of it being so hot and dry, because the ground can't soak up the water. So with a light shower and persistent drizzle, it's slowly going into the ground. In order that when it rains properly, it's not going to flood everywhere. So isn't nature very clever? So if you are watching, hello, good morning. Let me know whereabouts in the world you are and chip in with your weather forecast. So today is Tuesday the 16th. Hello, Joan. Yeah, I'll rain there for you too. So we had rain yesterday morning. So I say rain. It was the lightest drizzle, and didn't stop us doing what we wanted to do. But it, it was so light you didn't need to, have an umbrella. Well, we didn't pack any umbrellas or wet weather gear. We were just so convinced that while we were away for a few days, that it was going to be sunshine all the way, so it doesn't stop us doing what we're doing. And I'm wondering as well whether part of the rain is not only that it's forecast and the weather fronts have changed, but where we're staying, we're up on a hill, and I wonder whether the elevation is causing a bit of rain to fall, because by yesterday afternoon and even by mid-morning it was starting to get really hot again, and it was really very pleasant. So we just have to wait and see. So spoiler alert, I'm on holiday, so I can't show you what I'm going to do with flowers in my garden. So we're staying in this little holiday home, and I thought it might be rather fun to see what containers there were around the house and to think about what flowers we might want to put in them. The first thing I need to do, though, is I'm having a bit of a holiday disaster, and I don't know whether you noticed, I don't know wear loads of makeup, but I've actually got a sty in my eye. So I've been looking up what I need to do, probably not to touch my eyes. And I thought, perhaps sty in your eye meant you'll run down. And then I thought perhaps with the air conditioning in the car, it was going into my eye. And I did think that perhaps with the electric fan that's been blowing, I did think some dust had blown into my eye. And so I looked it up on the NHS website, and they said most often styes in your eyes are down to poor eye hygiene and not to wear any makeup for the duration of the sty. So that's what I've been doing, and I've also been trying to wash my face. I do it anyway, with really hot flannel. And also I thought a bit of homemade self-care, and as I'm on my holiday as well, I've got slices of cucumber, which a tip that Lucy, the geriatric mum, told me was to keep the lemon slices, the cucumber slices, in a glass of water and put it in the fridge so they're really, really super cold. So I have been enjoying, again, because I've been makeup free, I don't normally do this because I don't take my makeup off until the end of the day, and I put it on first thing in the morning. So there's never really a time when I'm near a fridge or near a cucumber when I can do this without my makeup smelling. So what I have been doing, and this is the beginning of a new cucumber for today. We're going to be having cucumber and hummus wraps for lunch today, and it's the tiny end of the cucumber. So I have been sitting there like this, and of course because I've got a sty in this eye, I have to be really careful that I don't switch them out and spread the infection across. So actually what I'm doing is throwing these bits of cucumber away afterwards rather than keeping them in the fridge. But if I didn't have any eye problem, I could probably get double duty out of these. But it is really, really soothing. And I do find I don't sleep very well, so I do find I get a bit baggy-eyed as well. And I have bought, I don't know whether you've ever tried these but it's the jade rollers that you roll over your face that you keep in the fridge, and I think that has the same sort of effect, although mine is kept in the fridge and I barely remember to get it out. It's just when I'm doing cooking. I think, what is that doing now? So we're just going to have, a zen moment of getting on. And it does seem to ooze a moisture. You can sort of see that it is quite restorative, really. And I know if my sister was doing this, she would do all this and then she'd eat the cucumber, but I don't think I'm going to. And then with a bit of self-care, I'm trying to, and get the holiday vibe. I'm eating trying not to eat cereal and toast, which I eat a lot of. So I've been having Greek yogurt and fresh fruit and honey in the mornings. And this morning, my cup of tea, being extra careful not to spoil the surfaces around the house. And my levitating coaster here, I have got, I can't show you, but hot water and fresh lemons. So I am trying to, flush things out and be a little bit more caring of myself. So let me know in the comments, what are your top self-care well-being tips, and especially when you're on holiday. And again, another tip from the geriatric mum, putting on your suntan lotion, is not to forget to put it on your uprights of your hands, particularly if you're at the stage in your life when you are pushing a baby's pram or pusher, because this bit here gets really, really sun damaged. And of course, not to forget sun protection factor for your lips. I tend really, when I put my suntan lotion on, is to sort of smear it all over my face, and then it is slightly makes the first lot of food you eat not very pleasant because it tastes of suntan lotion. But you could be more refined and use sun protection factor. Anyway, shall we get on with the show? So I have this dream in my fantasy life that I come to a lovely, holiday cottage, and I'm going to fill the place with flowers, which is always quite difficult to do because it takes a while to work out where the local florist is. So you've got this trauma of driving around narrow historic streets and trying to find a parking space, trying to find where your accommodation is. And really that's the first thing, the added extra, the luxury of buying flowers sort of flies out of the window. And one thing I knew I didn't want to do, I didn't want to go to the supermarket and get flowers, because that's just, any old ordinary. And part of the reason was as well, I didn't want to buy flowers, and I didn't want to buy a whole bunch. I just thought just a single stem would be lovely. And the day I did find a florist, so those of you who follow me on Instagram, and I'll leave details of my Instagram in the description of the video when it goes live, well, when I've finished filming it. But I am at Flowers Start with an underscore at the end. And if you're on my free Facebook group, Flowers Start World, you'll be hearing a few more tales as they happen on my holidays. So I did find this lovely florist on Saturday, but it was so hot on Saturday. I didn't want to be buying flowers, and then they would have died before I got home. So I'm just sort of having that fantasy flower moment and thinking, what flowers would I buy to make my holiday home feel really luxurious that weren't supermarket flowers? And the only I did teeter the supermarket flowers, because I've got a holiday home, a holiday cottage right in the centre of the town. I've been going out in the morning and buying, fresh croissants and things like that. And I've noticed that the asters are in season. So the asters, the daisy-like flower, quite a vibrant pink or a deep sort of Cadbury's blue purple with a yellow centre. And I thought, well, they would be rather nice. But again, I didn't want to buy a load of bunches, a bunch had multiple heads, when really I didn't need that many flowers. And the inspiration to start on my flower trail was this little vase here. So again, if you follow me on Instagram, you'd have seen me post a picture of this part of the living room with a lovely sort of straw-based lamp, and there's a beautiful picture above that's got yellow and blue tones, which ironically pick up on the yellow and blue of my suntan lotion. So this is a lovely blue vase. Oh, look at this. I think it must be a charity shop vase. What a lucky find. So because we're next to the seaside, the whole cottage is white and this sort of teal blue as an accent. I will say though that this vase, perhaps I'll do them a favour, it's a bit dusty and needs washing, but it says it's from Happy Days, which I can only imagine, I don't know whether the camera's picking up that. Happy Days, £7. So Happy Days doesn't sound like the name of a regular shop. But £7 seems quite a high price to pay for a charity shop, although perhaps it might actually be a jug of note. You know, is that, don't drop it, Julie, is that something of value? It certainly needs washing up. But I had a vision that I would just have, you know, perhaps a single rose coming out of that. And then I thought, you know, we've been going on country walks, you know, perhaps, you know, a single bit of fern, you know, the bracken when it dries, or a seed head would look really lovely there. And then against the grey wall, the white wall, it would just sort of silhouette up. So yes, blue jug. What would you put in that blue jug? Just to give a little bit of a holiday perk. It could be a feather, loads and loads of seagulls. And there's been, on the beach, I've seen several really large feathers, which look slightly bedraggled. I guess if you pick them up, you could perhaps wash them and reposition the, what are they called? Are they fronds, the little feathery bits on a feather? I don't quite know. So that was number one jug. So it doesn't take very much. And if I was in the garden, this would be quite good for short stems. So it could be the things that we're not mowing lawn at the moment because of the drought. But it's kind of the things when the lawnmower has knocked things down or you accidentally step on something. This would be quite a good size, a finger to thumb sized jug. Be quite good for catching all your odds and ends in. So yes, let me know what you think about it. Now the next jug, because we are near the seaside, I don't know if you can hear the seagulls in the background. There's lots of things in the cottage that have got a fish theme on it. There's curtains as well and some cushion covers. So this was up on the landing. I thought I'd have a look at this. So this says at the bottom, Azure Blue Collection, hand wash only. Isn't that really, really annoying when it says hand wash only? And actually, I don't know if you saw yesterday's video that I posted. It was called My Flowers Stink. So we were away for a few days ago, and I decided to keep all my flowers out because they looked like they had lots of life left in them. And I got home, and because of the hot weather, it really stank. Joan, you're saying you'd make a petite hand-tied bouquet and put it in. That's a really good idea. And Joan, you've just reminded me, but there was a hashtag, I think it's called Little Bouquet, Mini Bouquet, something like that. And there were loads of people doing tiny bouquets that were resting on their hand. That might be slightly something fun to look at. But you can imagine that, can't you, with sort of a cloud of flowers on the top. A great idea, Joan, great idea. So question for you, Joan. Do you hand wash your vases or do you put them all in the dishwasher? And I know that one of the comments on the video was from Lady Mary Beth, and she says she always hand washed her vase, but I have a sneaking suspicion the Lady Mary Beth's vases are all vintage and antiques and sort of vases of quality. So for ease, I tend to put mine in the dishwasher unless I know it is a vintage. I'm slightly more discerning. Good morning, Fiona. Oh, Fiona, we're talking live at last. So I think Joan and Fiona are probably the number one commentators on my videos. So lovely to have you both here at the same time. So this is probably hand wash only because of the sort of applied blue and white transfer wear. You can imagine if you put that in the dishwasher over time, it would start to wear away. So the question is here, what flowers would you suggest I put in here? So this vase is slightly taller. It's sort of elbow to wrist height. It's slightly marginally wider at the base. A nice pouring spout here. And I'm thinking perhaps something white stocks, you know, something en masse. And I'm thinking to accentuate the height of the vase, you know, let's be extravagant. 12 or 15 white stocks would look really nice in there. I need to have a slip of tea. And then if you wanted to pick up on the blue, well, you know, oh, you're both in Northern Ireland. Oh, that's fabulous, ladies. Wouldn't it be bizarre if you found by 12 steps, 6 steps separation, you actually knew each other? And it's, you know, as there's a flower connection, you may well know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows you. So what do you reckon on this one? I'm thinking this would be perhaps a vase for the cotton plonk, you know, when you have been to the supermarket or you've bought a bunch of flowers, just no arranging required, snip the ends. This vase is clean, so it wouldn't need washing, it just needs water putting in it, and then just let your flowers tumble out. But I'm thinking, yes, I'm thinking white stocks in here, or even, so I'm trying to, I think they do asters in white as well, but that has the yellow centre. Yellow and blue are contrasting, so that might look good together. But I think the beauty of this vase, this jug, is the quite startling, you know, it's quite a dramatic fishy pattern. And I think if you go too fussy, you're going to detract from the jug. So Joan's agreeing with me, cut and plonk in this jug. I can see the little comments going. Quite often when I do my Facebook Lives, which I tend to do on a Friday, in my free Facebook group, Flower.world, a Friday at noon, sometimes that time changes, but I don't always see the comments pinging up, and I'm thinking I'm talking to myself, and then I discover afterwards it's been a whole conversation going on with everybody, and I've missed out, so I have to catch up afterwards. So yes, we're agreed, cut and plonk in that one, just keeping it really, really simple. So conscious that these aren't my vases, I've got to be careful with them. Now, talking about the yellow and blue contrasting colours, I found this jug in the kitchen. Thank you, Jane. I'll just pick this up. This is slightly dustier as well. So this isn't that just a classic summertime vase? In fact, I seem to have come coordinated with my my cardigan and the background colour here. So blue and yellow, and it's quite a soft lavender blue. It almost looks like someone hand painted it, hasn't been mass produced. And I can't. Oh, this one cost £1. It's got a very old label. Yes, it's a beautiful jug here, and I would say that, you know, I quite like the bulbous shape of it. I think the straight up and down jug is, I would say it's more of a statement piece, and it probably wouldn't sit so well in my house at home, number one, because I don't have a seaside cottage, and number two, I just think it's, for me, slightly too angular. If I was going to have something straight up and down, I think I would rather have a clear glass vase, but I think the bulbous jug, it's got a bit of weight at the bottom, and the lip. Now, question for you. Do you do double duty with your vases? So I'm interchanging between calling this a vase and a jug. So, for instance, do you have a jug of water on your table when you eat? So are you having a water jug on the table? And would you pour from your jug? Or do you think, now my husband is definitely in this school, if it's got flowers in it, if it's ever had flowers with it, it does not have any place in part of the eating accessories. There must be a better word, accoutrements, perhaps be a better word. So if I use this to arrange flowers in, he would not be impressed if that then appeared on the table and I was pouring water out of it, even though it would have been thoroughly cleaned in between. So let me know, do you let your vases do double duty? I think probably this lip on this jug, it's quite clearly it's a vase, and I don't think that lip is pronounced enough. I reckon if I poured water out of that, it would probably spill everywhere. So this, yeah, slightly dusty here. I might do the owners a favour and wash their jugs up for them. And then it's got this side round, it's got the pink and the blue, and then it's got the dark blue. So I guess it's, I don't think you would ever put your jug on the side like that. I'd always show the handle off. You know, are you a right-handed handle person or a left-handed handle person? And what do you prefer? Do you prefer the blue flower showing or the yellow? I quite like them both actually. But it's this must be reasonably old, and it's still got the label on. I'm sure it says £1. Can't mean £1. Can't be that old. Perhaps it used to say £10. So Fiona, you're saying most of your containers are jugs. But inspired by me, you're collecting other containers. Space is becoming an issue. Oh, Fiona, yes. Space is always an issue, and that's why I quite like if you can get things to do double duty. Of course, they could do triple duty, because number one, they could have flowers in them. Number two, they could just be items of beauty that you enjoy. And number three, they could actually be functional. And this is something I've learnt from Lady Mary Beth, who I follow. She is a YouTuber who lives in Florida, I believe, and she searches for vintage finds. She's an expert in Waterford crystal. And she's always finding this fabulous Waterford crystal in the charity shops. And I must admit, I've started turning over the glassware in the charity shop thinking, I wonder whether I can find this too. And I've never found a piece. But when she buys something or looks at something, she's always thinking, what alternative use can she put it for? So for instance, perhaps if I had this in my kitchen at home, I would put my kitchen utensils in it. And then when I wanted to use it as a vase, I'd just take the utensils out. Ah, Fiona. Yes, 2 windowsill containers. Oh, Fiona, I don't know whether you're on Facebook at all. If you are, search up Flower Start World, the group. And I'd love to see pictures of your new containers. So are they modern windowsills, containers, or are they more of a vintage kind? Have they got handles? What colour are they? We need details. So, yes, it's getting the alternate use. And, you know, can you think of, it's a bit like, did you ever watch that show? Must be late 80s, early 90s. Oh, that's a shame, Fiona, you don't do Facebook. Oh, you could send me an email, Fiona. Send me an email. We've corresponded before, so yeah. Post a photograph. What was it called? It was one of those comedy inspiration things on a Friday night. And they used to come on with an odd object and they'd have to give a use for it. So that's like, you know, get the brain power working. And this is what you need to be thinking when you go shopping. You know, set your budget when you go to the charity shop. And it's not just thinking, oh, I'm looking for a vase, I'm looking for a container to arrange my flowers in. You're looking for things that could be used to arrange your flowers in. So, you know, obviously if you're going to be arranging fresh flowers, it needs to be watertight. But with the fashion at the moment for dried flowers, of course it doesn't even need to be watertight. It just needs to be something attractive. So perhaps that would be my challenge to you. Next time you go to the charity shop, is to try and find something that isn't actually a vase and think about what you could use it for. So that's how I try and think about it. I will also say, Fiona, that you're saying you're running out of space. I do alternate between having my empty vases on show as a piece of, you know, decoration at home. I then sometimes go through a phase of thinking this is getting a bit much, and then I put them in my workshop. I try and colour coordinate them. So if I want a white vase, I go for the white vase, although I do keep my windowsill vases somewhere separate. And then sometimes, I don't know, if Joan's still watching, she might agree with this, that you kind of think, I've just got too many vases. You know, you might find it pleasing to have a whole bookcase full of white vases, but other people in your family might prefer somewhere to store their books. And I've variously over time revamped the cupboard under the stairs and had that for my vases. I have in fact actually revamped our landing cupboard, and that's where I keep my seasonal crockery. One thing I would say is if you do want to store your vases somewhere that isn't out on your surfaces, don't put them in a garden shed, because you are never ever ever going to go to your garden shed to pick out the vase. You're going to go and buy a bunch of flowers, you're going to pick up the first vase you see, probably the one you've washed up from the time before, and you're just going to use them, and you're going to have this whole collection of vases which are just collecting dust, and then there's no point. And then the other thing I do is that I enjoy searching for flower containers and going to the charity shops, but I am also quite good at decluttering. Oh, and again, that's another photograph you have to send me, Fiona. So shelves in the garage, and it's making sure that the shelves are accessible. And what I have ended up doing in my garage, I've got like this little step stool. You know when you've got small children and you get those little step stools that go up so they can, I guess, climb the steps to go to the toilet or stand on the steps to wash their hands. And we've never got rid of ours. We had quite a nice step stool from IKEA. And I tend to have that in my garage in order that I can just like doop, 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 and get up to the shelves that are just a bit out of reach, because again, if it's all too high up, number one, it will look beautiful when you've arranged it, but number two, you can guarantee when you've finished using that vase, where you're going to put it. You're going to put it on the closest bit you can find, because you can't be bothered to get the steps out or drag a chair into the garage and climb up. So I think you do need to invest in, you know, a short ladder that is, or all these step stool things that you can just have a little bit of a look. Now I've got one more container for you, and it is a glass vase and it rattles, and I've just discovered this is where the key's kept for the window downstairs. So I quite like this as well. This is sort of a modern take, but it's got this sort of little pattern bottom, and it's probably some sort of boho-y, I don't know, but it almost looks from distance as if it's swirling waves, which is quite apt as we're near the coast. And it's this glass that looks like, I don't know whether it's reclaimed glass, it's got that sort of greeny tinge to it, and it is a version of a bud vase, because you could only get one flower. We never talked about what flowers to put in it. I go sunflowers, cut really, really short, so you can get, you know, supermarket bunches, you'll get 5 heads and cut, you know, they'll come this long, you know, elbow to fingertip, cut them down to this high, and have the heads in here. I would always cut sunflowers really short, because the heads are so heavy, and even though they've got chunky stems, and I would just sort of have this rolling different directions of heads in there, and then I have that side showing, I think, under that. So here, fancy bud vase. What would you put in that? So pampas grass is really fashionable. When we're talking about a dried, you wouldn't even need to put water in there. That means I can still keep the key in there. What else would you put in there? Again, I think seed heads, you know, an old cow parsley seed head, a bit of fern or bracken. I wouldn't go rose, it's too formal. Or perhaps I'm looking out, there is a little bit of a yard area that we have to walk through to get to the front door here. And, you know, if I was being sneaky, it's not our garden, but there's some absolutely beautiful, I can't remember the name of it, geraniums, the pom-pom geraniums. A few stems of greenery, yes. Or perhaps some grasses, you know, just sort of, is it the carex grass? Just sort of, or even the leaves of a crocosmia. So the beautiful crocosmia. And then actually, if you take the leaves, you know, you normally like the crocosmia is normally either an orange or a red. I think the red one's called Lucifer. And then the flowers go over, and you end up with the seed heads, which look like peppercorns. But the stems of grass look quite nice, and they have like this natural bending habitat. So that might look quite nice. Yes, food for thought indeed. So perhaps what I'll do, for those of you who are in my Facebook group, I might line these up, take a photograph of them, and then you can make suggestions about what flowers or decorative materials you would put inside these. So this would be quite good as we are next to the sea, collecting the sea glass. So I'm just getting a message up on my phone. Some sad news which I'll need to comment on in due course. Sea glass, that'd be quite a good way of keeping it. You know, little pebbles of the washed, you know, broken bottles and things like that. So I can imagine putting those in there, and then the sea glass itself would become a fluff frog to support your flowers. So you could kind of collect it, your holiday memory, put it in the vase, and then when you wanted to use it, you could just shake them out and use them decoratively in your next flower arrangement. So again, I'm going to put that nice and carefully at the top there. I must remember when I clear away not to drink my cucumber infused water, because that's been on my eye with my infection, but I have still got time to drink my lemon flavoured tea. So I'm going to draw to a close now. I can hear the sound of the seagulls calling, and at 8 o'clock this morning there was beautiful church bells ringing, and we did notice last night we were out on the roof balcony, a bit further up the hill, there was a little church with a bell sort of hanging in a cutout in a chimney. Do you know the sort of thing I mean? It's a bit like when you go to Italy and there's bells everywhere, and they were sort of in a chimney stack, but the chimney stack was separated and then the bell was hanging in the open space there. So it does make me determined that there are loads and loads of steps in this town. And perhaps when we have nothing to do one afternoon and it's not too hot, I quite fancy scampering up and down, well, scampering, but climbing up and down all the steps and just having a little look round and seeing what the vantage point is, like the viewpoint is from other vantage points in the area. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're watching on catch up, don't forget to leave me a comment. And I do believe that once the video has processed itself, you can actually click on the little button underneath the video and you can listen to the live touch. Thanks, Fiona. It was lovely to have you here. I feel like I know you and we've only ever texted each other. So have a great day, whatever you're doing, and I'll catch up with you next time. So I just need to know discreetly put the off button on.